Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator. So happy to be joined this afternoon by Nick Belcour, who is Executive Vice President with Peerless-AV. Thank you so much, Nick, for taking some time to chat with me.
Really glad to be here, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about our digital signage and video wall deep dive. And the first thing I want to ask you about is that deep dive report does indicate that DirectView LED is growing very rapidly, grabbing market share in the video wall category in particular. What would you say is driving the ascendance of DirectView LED? And do you concur that the growth is pretty strong at this point?
There's a number of things that are driving the rapid ascension of dvLED. It is a massive growth segment for our business, but interestingly enough, and to your question, it's not growing as rapidly as I think it can. And I think the industry has an opportunity to educate the customer base about why they should be directing even more resources to DirectView LED. dvLED is not a straight replacement to the LCD video wall, as the resolutions and wall sizes are different due to pixel density. dvLED takes a much deeper dive with the end users to change their thinking from I need a 2 or 4K wall to understanding the distance that the intended viewer is going to be watching from and specifying the correct pixel pitch density and wall size to deliver the best seamless result that only a dvLED wall can deliver. There is still a habit for particularly the smaller walls to retreat back to perhaps a LFD LCD video wall instead of investing in a dvLED wall because of such complexities. And so the educational components that are increasingly available by ourselves and all of our partners in the industry, I think can deliver the comfort to the customer that they can allow themselves to deploy the most relevant technology that they're going to get the largest lifespan out of. The future of large array video walls are of course seamless, and for many reasons such as flexibility, longevity of use, brightness, ease of logistics, and the end economies of scale have contributed to the volume that is bringing the costs down. And that is why we are seeing that rapid ascension, and we anticipate that it's going to continue to pick up speed meaningfully.
As do we. I don't think there's going to be any slowing of the pace whatsoever. Bearing in mind DirectView LED's ever increasing popularity, what tips would you offer to commercial integrators, integrator audience on how to execute these deployments well? Because that's the key. We want our customers to be satisfied. It's about getting these deployments done in the very best way that they can be.
It's a great question. And while it's going to seem like an obvious answer coming from somebody who specializes in infrastructure delivery, I cannot stress this enough. The dvLED project must start with the mount, and never ever let anybody involved in this project simplify the mount. It's not simple. It's never simple. It can be simple to deal with an infrastructure support supplier like Peerless-AV, but the mount itself is never simple. Oversimplification of the mount leads to regret 100% of the time. And the cost to reinstall large DirectView LED arrays will incur huge labor costs, expensive pixel pitch repairs, delayed openings, and generally speaking, installations gone bad. There are so many extrinsic variables that come in that can negatively impact a DirectView LED install. And you really have to make sure that you understand the complexity of the mounting infrastructure before you even begin the project to ensure that all of those costly damage and overruns and labor are avoided.
So recognizing, as you say, that the mounts are so critical to having a high quality DirectView LED video wall deployment. Can you kind of get into detail on some of those considerations that integrators should immediately be thinking about before they start trying to deploy a DirectView LED video wall? With respect to mounting in particular, what are the top of mind considerations they should immediately be thinking about?
I would say start with the structure itself, right? What is the venue? What is the mount attaching to? Is it attaching to anything at all, or is it part of an autonomous structure? What's hugely interesting about dvLED, and part of what's driving its rapid adoption, is because people who are designing experiences internally are no longer limited by the rather static components of large format displays. They can bend the direct view LED around corners, doorways, curves, ceilings, things that were never available or possible before. But what comes along with that are all of the complexities that are associated with either attaching to an existing structure, building a structure to support it, or doing an autonomous freestanding structure. So even if it's something that seems to be simple, like a direct flat to wall, make sure you understand what is behind that wall. How old is that construction? Was it designed to hold that load? Is it going to settle over time after install? So even if the installation company does the most perfect job and the mount does its job flawlessly, are you going to end up with black lines or white lines as a result of the construction settling? And if the answer to that is yes, then pursue alternative options like an autonomous structure that holds its own weight, that will ensure that that direct view LED deployment looks the same at year 5 and year 10 as it does at week 1 after it's installed.
So I've been in the industry since 2004, which means I've had the opportunity to watch Peerless-AV for a number of years now. I know that the company is a very collaborative kind of an organization. And I think the seamless direct view LED video wall integration program, the dvLED video wall integration program, very much aligns with that collaborative approach. Can you tell me something about what that program entails, the support and the expertise that's built into that program?
Seamless was launched quite a while ago in terms of when you look at where massive adoption of direct view LED happened. It launched well in advance of it becoming the go-to technology for visual engagement. And the reason that Seamless was incepted and launched in that way was to remove that fear, uncertainty, and doubt of the new technology. Now that people are starting to use it more and more, we get involved literally in every step of the project, from the beginning meetings with consultants and architects to the display brands themselves, to the delivery of the product through distribution. Our resellers are part of the most important aspect of what we do, because we go boots on the ground with the people that resell, with the architects, and we are there with the installers to make sure that the finished seamless wall is perfect on day 1 and will last for the foreseeable future. Selling a product is not a good solution to direct view LED deployments. Selling a solution that is singularly designed for purpose and supported by people that have done infinitely complex deployments all over the world, Morocco, London, Las Vegas, is really, really critical from a collaborative standpoint, because then you have the confidence of knowing that when Murphy's Law kicks in, there is somebody there to kick back and make sure that this deployment goes perfectly, because they've already seen everything.
I think that that analogy of essentially Murphy's Law kicking in and wanting to be able to kick back is going to resonate with a lot of the integrators and those listening to this video. So if our audience wants to learn more about Seamless, the dvLED video wall integration program, how can they do that? How can they leverage everything that Peerless-AV is giving them?
We have an amazing monthly direct view LED training course. I would highly recommend that people who want to learn more about Seamless or about direct view LED generally attend one of those trainings. I think that it helps the industry the more that we talk about it. And we talk about some of those problems that we had encountered before and what our unique solutions to ameliorate those problems was while we were on site. Obviously, your Peerless-AV salesperson is always looking for an opportunity to talk with you. And so reach out to your Peerless-AV salesperson. But we're also going to have quite a formidable presence at ISE, Infocom, NAB. Come see us at one of those trade shows. We're going to have both our standard and bespoke iterations of our infrastructures there, along with all of our experts that would be thrilled to talk to you about any projects that you have coming up.
So is there anything I might not have asked you about that you think would be important for our audience to know? Because I'd love to be able to share that if there is.
Nothing that you haven't asked about, but a point that I want to just hit home on one more time, which is no deployments in vivo ever go as well as they did in vitro. And so no matter how well something is laid out in a lab in advance of that deployment, there are going to be problems, full stop, when you get into the field. Make sure that you are backed up by people that will help solve those so that your customer will be delighted and their facility will open on time with the aesthetic of that direct view LED that you were looking for.
Well, it's been so nice to have you, Nick, and feature some of your insights on direct view LED and what Peerless-AV can do to facilitate outstanding applications. Again, so happy to have been joined by Nick Belcourt, who is Executive Vice President with Peerless-AV. Thank you again.
Really good to see you. Thanks again for having me.
I am Dan Farisi, Editor-in-Chief of Commercial Integrator, and we look forward to sharing more great conversations with you soon.